From YouTube, we've got Roberto. He asked on podcast number 515, which was the one about financial planning for marriage, separation, and singlehood. He said, withdrawal sequence spitball. As a hypothetical, if one decides to retire on 12/31 of a given year, and after doing all the calculations, the math shows that one has to withdraw $24,000, as an easy math example, to bridge any gaps to cover expenses from either trad and or Roth type of accounts, is it better to withdraw the entire amount on January 1 and setting the money aside for use throughout the year, or split up the withdrawals on a monthly or quarterly basis? Of course, this is assuming one has the discipline not to use the lump sum withdrawal for a trip to visit Big Al in Hawaii for a Mai Tai or 3. Thanks.
I would take the $24,000 out in January.
Yeah, because you get it out of the portfolio, and chances are the market goes up more often than it goes down, right? So wouldn't you rather get it out of the IRA? Well, and then maybe keep the money invested as it would have been before, and then all that additional growth could be gains taxed at a capital gain rate. So that would be, I think, a way to think about it. I think, Joe, if it's $24,000, whether you take it over the year or all at once, it's not, I don't think it's that big a deal. I think you do whatever you're more comfortable with.
A couple $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
You do it quarterly. I think it's easier. Just get it out. But you're right. You have to have the discipline not to spend it.
Right. Yeah. I think to me, this is more of a personal preference thing.
All right. Next one is from Facts Hurt. This is on an old podcast clip called What Should I Do With My Cash Value Universal Life Insurance Policies? Facts Hurt says, I have a CalPERS pension, retiring in a few years with 80% plus. I have an IUL, year 6, and my cash value is around $86,000. I put in $100K plus. I also have a term policy, $600K. I owe $220K on the house. I only have $100K in 457 plan. Should I cash out the IUL and put more in my 457 and maybe pay down the mortgage, or keep the cash in a high yield savings or something else? Also, is that cash value all tax-free because it's less than what I've contributed? Thanks again.
Does he need the insurance?
That's always the question, right? If you need the insurance, maybe you just leave it. Indexed universal life, not necessarily our favorite annuities, but we don't really know anything about this one.
Yeah, I would get rid of it.
Would you?
For sure.
So the fact that the cash value is less than the contribution is probably tax-free.
You just return a basis.
So it doesn't matter what age you do it because there's no penalty, right?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a surrender period.
Yeah, well, there could be that, right?
Yeah. But yeah, the IUL, you can just tell in 6 years it's worth less. If you put that $100,000 into any other investment besides that, you think it'd be more or less than $100,000 after 6 years.
Yeah, you would think it'd be more.
Yeah.
You would think so anyway.
Well, it's the cost of insurance that's rigging everything out. So
right.
Does
so
he
that
need the insurance?
It goes back to your first question. Right. Do you need the insurance, right? Yep.
All right. Tech Appliance 8 asks on an old podcast video about alternative minimum tax explained. He says, I have a Schedule E AMT tax form getting generated. Is this normal? Or he says, I am 1 W-2 and 1 rental property.
Yeah, I'll take that one. So Tech Appliance number 8. Yeah, this is kind of a strange IRS rule, but there's different kinds of depreciation for regular tax purposes and alternative minimum tax purposes. And so your computer software will generate 2 different schedules because you have, for rental properties, because you have 2 different kinds of depreciation. For most people, it's a non-issue because most people these days are not paying alternative minimum tax. So it's not bad. It's just it's kind of a worthless schedule, but I wouldn't worry about it.
If you haven't already downloaded our guide to the 5-year rules for Roth IRA withdrawals, this would be the time to do it. This handy one-pager shows how those 5-year clocks work for Roth contributions versus conversions, whether you're over or under age 59 and a half, and the order of withdrawals. You'll find the link in the episode description to download it for free, along with the withdrawal strategy guide. Learn tactics that'll help you prolong the life of your retirement savings in the most tax-smart way possible. Get both the 5-year rules for Roth IRA withdrawals and the withdrawal strategy guide. And when's the last time you browsed our website at yourmoneyyourwealth.com? There's a ton more free and valuable financial resources there waiting for you. All right, next up is California kiteboarding. on podcast number 404, which is on the Roth IRA 5-year rules. He says, if I open a Roth IRA after age 59 and a half, I still have to wait 5 years before withdrawing the gains, right? I am confusing myself, lol. Roth 401k seasoning is 5 years. So if opened in 2024, will it be seasoned at the beginning of 2028 or at the end of 2028?
5 years to take the growth out of a Roth IRA. You can always take the principal out. So you have to wait 5 years. It needs a season. And I believe the dollars that hit the Roth IRA reverts back to January 1st of that year. Even if you make the contribution in the following year, the contribution will revert back to January 1st. So you have until April 15th of the following year to do, right now we're in 2025, but I can still make a 2024 contribution. So that contribution that I make in 2025 actually counts for January 1st of 2024. So any growth after 5 years after that date, it's all mine, but I can always take the principal out.
Yeah, and I think that's confusing to a lot of people because so your contributions you can take out at any time. You can take it out the next day, even if you're 20 years old. Now, we don't recommend you do, but you can, right? It's just the growth you have to wait, right? And fortunately, the IRS lets you take out your contributions first as a distribution, not the growth. So you can always take that out. But typically, it's 5 years or 59 and a half, whichever is longer, to get at that growth.
All right. And then the final one we have is actually a comment. This is on an old podcast clip, also on the 5-year rules. This is from Patricia. She said, not sure why such a flippant attitude to a question about a scenario that could easily arise in the real world. E.g., if an adult child is suggesting an elderly parent do a Roth conversion and they are rightly wanting to understand the rules so that they know whether it's a wise recommendation in their particular family situation or not. The Roth account holder could very well pass away shy of the 5-year holding period. The spouse often is the one who inherits it. And the question of any prudent person arises, does the 5-year required holding period start over with the surviving spouse? And then does the 5-year required holding period start over yet again with the inheriting adult children? I didn't submit the question, but I haven't run across it being addressed either, so it seemed very reasonable to me. And so I actually responded and I asked if Patricia was familiar with the Your Money, Your Wealth podcast. And I said, Roth conversions and the 5-year rules for Roth withdrawals are very common topics of discussion on the show. And nearly every single episode touches on Roth conversions. And we've had numerable questions about the 5-year clocks. And Joe, the flippant one, who is, and I said that she's not the first to call him that, gets tired of these questions. And that we're known for making fun of finance, but I can understand that it could be off-putting to those who aren't familiar. So I encouraged her to watch or listen to an episode or 3 and see if it works for her. So what say you, Joe, the flippant one?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can be pretty flippant, huh?
Only 5 years, right? So it's the Roth account that matters.
Yeah.
So if it's already been seasoned for 5 years and then the spouse dies and then the other spouse inherits it, it's not another 5-year clock. And then that spouse dies and then the kids inherit, it's not another 5-year clock. Each Roth IRA, right, has a 5-year clock, or the Roth IRA account has the 5-year clock. You could have multiple Roth IRAs and it still has the first dollar that hits the first Roth starts the 5-year clock. Even if you started a Roth 15 years ago, 1997, and you cashed the thing out, you already started it, the 5-year clock began. So if you pass and it goes to another individual, the 5-year, if the 5-year clock is satisfied, it's satisfied.
Yeah.
If the 5-year clock is not satisfied, the person that inherits the account needs to satisfy the 5-year clock.
Yeah, if you get the account and it's only been 3 years, the original account holder set it up, you got to wait another 2 years before you take that money out. So, yeah, pretty straightforward.
Yep, there you have it.
Thanks for watching and for participating in the conversation. Leave your questions and feedback in the comments on any of our videos here on YouTube, and I'll do my best to have Joe and Big Al address them for you. They might even be helpful. Follow Your Money, Your Wealth in your favorite podcast app, and for an in-depth review of your finances, click the link in the description to schedule a free assessment with one of the professionals on Joe and Big Al's team here at Pure Financial Advisors. There's no cost and no obligation, and chances are they'll be able to uncover strategies that'll help you have a more successful retirement. I'm executive producer Andy Last with Joe Anderson, CFP, and Big Al Clopine, CPA. We'll see you on the next episode of the Your Money, Your Wealth podcast. Pure Financial Advisors is a registered investment advisor. This show does not intend to provide personalized investment advice through this podcast and does not represent that the securities or services discussed are suitable for any investor. As rules and regulations change, podcast content may become outdated. Investors are advised not to rely on any information contained in the podcast in the process of making a full and informed investment decision.